Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Level Grinding. It is Drew here once again with Robin. What's going on, my friend?
Not much, man. Glad to be here.
Always glad to be here. So normally this is the part where, we get you guys with whatever trailers or whatever new stuff is coming out, but we've already talked about everything. Not a whole lot has happened or dropped and gone over anything new. So mostly today, what we're going to do is Robin and I are going to kind of discuss our favorite games and favorite game franchises, kind of deep dive in on one another's information. Just give us a chance to gush about things that we like about video games and gaming in general. And then when we're done with all of those, we're going to kind of discuss the new taboo topic in gaming that's going to be dropping in the next couple months. But we will definitely get there, so stay tuned for that one. So I will go ahead and let you get started. If you want to do franchises first, or do you want to do games individually?
I want to do the games individually first.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start us out.
I don't know about you, but I'm doing mine in no particular order because I'm not qualified to make that kind of a judgment call.
Yeah, mine are also in no particular order until we get to the series.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But we'll start out with Haven, which is this great game that dropped earlier this year, maybe last year.
Okay. Thank God. All right.
Are you okay?
Yeah, there's an old PlayStation 2 maybe game called Haven Call of the King. And
this is just called Haven.
It is unequivocally the worst game I have ever put fingers on in my life. Yeah, it's on PlayStation 2. Tremendously terrible. It was I was like, no, not that one.
No, this is it's a niche RPG, which as we grow on, you people will understand that that's kind of with the way it is with me. Like, well, a lot of RPGs can feel kind of impersonal. Like, while stories might be good, characters within that story feel more like acquaintances instead of friends or just like an adventuring party thrown together. But Haven's this game that's like their relationship is the entire point. It centers on a pair of newlyweds named Kay and Yu, who have escaped their dead planet but wind up crashing on a planet with like no intelligent life. And you're working to repair your ship and keep them both happy and their budding relationship alive. And turn-based combat. There's turn-based combat. It's a good spin on it. It's really fun. There's actually been a new update lately that added gender-swapped versions of both K and U, allowing you to either play as a straight couple or a gay or lesbian couple.
I've never even heard of it, so I can't really pick it apart and dig in or anything. I'll check it out. This is the introductory conversation for me and Haven. That's not traumatizingly bad. Let's see. Mine. You guys will find I am more of a AAA gamer. I love my indie titles, but a lot of my favorite stuff is going to be AAA titles for major companies. That's just what I came up on. And it doesn't mean I don't play indies and I don't like independent games. I do. My favorite game of last year was an independent title. But by and large, when we talk about favorite games of all time, I'm going to be much more of a AAA guy. And again, in no particular order, we're going to go ahead and start my list off with Devil May Cry 5. You guys are expecting an RPG, and I fought really hard to not have one. I love DMC5. It's so much fun. To me, it's a very good callback to the rest of the franchise. Highly respectful of 1 through 4. We're going to ignore the alt version Devil May Cry for this conversation, although I did thoroughly enjoy it actually. So it's not like I didn't like it. We're going to pretend it didn't exist. It's just this game didn't respect that game, which wasn't its job. But my favorite thing about Devil May Cry 5, aside from probably the highest replayability in the franchise, which is what shorter games like the Devil May Cry kind of rely on, Easter eggs, man. Nero's arms were a fantastic addition to the game. And I think my favorite Easter egg is one of his arms is the Mega Buster from Mega Man. And if you begin the stage as Nero with the Mega Buster equipped, he teleports in like X does in Mega Man and Mega Man X. And if you still have the Mega Buster, because the Mega Buster is one of those good arms that if you use it too many times, it gets destroyed because it's super powerful. If you still have it equipped and die, he explodes into the balls like Mega Man does in the original titles. But aside from that, it's super fun. It's super fun to play as V. It's super fun to play. Really everybody. It's got a great supporting cast. I absolutely love Devil May Cry 5. It's one of those games that, like, when I'm in a slump and I don't know what to play, I can download it and just go murder a bunch of monsters.
All right, and then I've got Folklore. It was a real good RPG for PS3. It was about like Irish mythology, which doesn't get enough attention on anything other than sometimes having its weapons from it showing up in Final Fantasy games. Otherwise, there's really no attention given at all.
I've never even
So
heard of it.
oh, it's so good. I was saying Irish mythology, like
Oh,
Gables.
yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely check it out if you have a PS3, or I think it might have come to PC.
Yeah, I here's hoping, because a lot of PS3 games did not get the love to come to PS4 or PS5, even on the new PS Premium subscription expansions. So, looking at you, White Knight Chronicles 2. I love that game. That did not get brought over. 1 did, which is unfortunate because 2 includes 1 in it. But there's a lot of PlayStation 3 gems that did not get the love that they deserved when the new systems hit. So mine, I don't know if this qualifies as AAA or not. Greedfall. I absolutely loved Greedfall, and it's one of those games that, like, I could just start over and play over and over and over again. And I played it, I think, free on PS Plus before I really got into it. And it's such an immersive game. It's got the whole world's expanded, and we've played those style of games before, but it's the way Greedfall is. The combat is very, very not what you would expect in that style of game. It took a little bit of adjusting to it. I didn't like it at first. Grew on me pretty quickly though. Magic is busted in Greedfall for sure, but like in several of those other games like Dragon Age, magic is powerful, but you pay a societal price for having it for sure. If you have not played Greedfall, I think it might be on Game Pass. It's on PlayStation Plus. Definitely take a look at it. Greedfall's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a real good game. It's not a AAA, but it's still good.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. It doesn't have quite the polish I would expect on a AAA title, but ultimately, in Greedfall's case, it's more of an asset than a liability. But it's one of those games that I picked it up to kill 20 minutes and lost 3 days of my life. So it's definitely played. It's fantastic.
It's developed by spiders.
Like literal spiders?
No, but that's my favorite thing to say because that's the name of the company. It's developed by spiders. And they made some okay games that really I could overlook easily, and then they made Bound by Flame, and then 2 years later Technomancer, then Greedfall, and in 2024 we're getting Greedfall 2. I haven't played Steel Rising, that came out last year.
Well, now I gotta finish Greedfall. Shit.
You've got over a year.
We know how I play.
But then I've got Legend of Legaia. This game was a unique turn on how turn-based RPGs could work. I still have memorized most of the super combos as well as the first Rasaru art you get in it. This game, man, I have so much love for this game.
I finally heard of it. I've heard of Legend of Legaia. I haven't got to dig in yet on Legend of Legaia. I've been meaning to for 20 years probably at this point. Seen a lot of clips from it. It looks really good, especially for its time. But I get the impression for me it's like Xenogears. It feels like with the combos and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely have to take a look into that one because I have heard of it and it does look good. I just haven't thought of it while I remembered to go into retro gaming though.
There's also a sequel to it for PS2 called Legaia 2 Dual Saga.
Oh, very nice. Yep, I will definitely have to check that out at some point. Hopefully PlayStation gets off their hands on putting classic stuff back on the PlayStation premium options. Their classics catalog is lacking. And now we're gonna get into predictable territory for me. Sorry, I'm not a big diverse, blow up the whole world type of gamer. Final Fantasy VII, man. Final Fantasy VII. That's the game that got me off of Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario into the world of RPGs and storytelling. And as anyone who has paid attention to us for more than 10 minutes is aware, I have not even slightly stepped backwards. RPGs are my thing, and it is 120% because of Final Fantasy VII. Is the story perfect? No. Is it like graphically genius? Absolutely not. It changed my entire life though. That game, I know Final Fantasy VII so well that you can call me at any point in the game and be like, "Hey man, I don't know what to do." And I could just be like, "What is the last thing that you did?" And I can walk you through what to do and any side quests that you haven't hit yet. I know that game better than the official strategy guide. Love Final Fantasy VII. We'll always love Final Fantasy VII. To the point where like I'm excited about the remakes. I don't care how bad they get. I was very lucky that remake turned out to be as fantastic as it is. Because I went in like hard on some people who were like, the remakes are gonna suck because it's episodic, and I'm like, I'm gonna make you cry because you chose this conversation. I love Final Fantasy VII. The world, the characters, the lore, all of it. It's fantastic.
Right. For my next game, Shadow Hearts Covenant.
Oh, it's so good.
There was a time period where I was just looking for more unique RPGs, and I found that in the ring system. It was new. Took some getting used to, but like I hammer out perfect combos all the time with that ring system, and that made my friends who were also playing it pretty jealous.
Yeah, I love Shadow Hearts. I love the ring system. I love that Shadow Hearts is a sequel that doesn't present itself as a sequel. I think that's one of my favorite things about it. Like, because I played Kudelka when it was on, like when it came out on PlayStation 1. And Kudelka's great. It's a great game. If you haven't played that, go check it out. And then Shadow Hearts, you don't find out for like hours and hours and hours that Shadow Hearts is like a direct sequel to Kudelka. Because it doesn't pitch itself as a sequel. It's like I can stand up on my own. And Shadow Hearts Covenant is fantastic. I messed around and played Covenant before I played the first Shadow Hearts. And it tells its story in a way that you don't need to play Shadow Hearts 1 to understand what's happening in Shadow Hearts Covenant. If you did, great. If not, that's also fine.
Keep in mind, it's a sequel to the bad ending, Kudelka.
Yeah, which by the existence of Shadow Hearts happening is the canon ending now. Good endings aren't the only endings, guys. Yeah, no, Shadow Hearts is fantastic. I love Yuri to death. He's one of my favorite protagonists.
Same.
We're gonna knock the obvious one out because you guys are gonna get fucking tired of listening to me gush about it. It's Chained Echoes, obviously. Chained Echoes is easily one of the best games I've ever put my hands on. It holds up to AAA titles, and even if you don't consider the fact that it was made by one dude, with like the entire production was a team of like 45 people, even disqualifying that, it stands up to AAA titles based on its in-game merits alone. Chained Echoes is a fantastic game. I cannot believe that this game came out like a month ago. It's only been out for like a month and a half. And it's easily eclipsed games that I've played over and over for 20 years. The story is so well done. The character development is so well done. The world building, you don't even leave the continent, and the world building is fantastic. There's very little, if anything, I don't like about Chained Echoes. I don't like mechs in my games, and mechs are a very big part of Chained Echoes, and I'm 125% here for them. If you hear the sound of my voice, play Chained Echoes. It's free on Game Pass. Right now, Microsoft is doing a thing right now, and everybody who hears me advertising for Microsoft for free right now is taken fully aback because this is not what I do. I don't like Xbox. I don't like Microsoft, but I like this game so much. They're doing a promotion right now for like $1 for a month on Game Pass. Spend $1. Go play Chained Echoes. It's worth every single second of your time. I promise you.
Right, and then I got MS Saga. This is a game that I recently began gushing about to Drew. I don't know what made me bring it up, but it's It was one of my favorite PS2 games. Such a good thing, and it uses designs from early in the Universal Century Gundam anime series, which as well as from G Gundam and Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, but it's not really a Gundam game. It has nothing to do with the stories of Gundam or anything like that. It's just going through and it's so good.
So this is the thing we were talking about before we started recording. And I was like, I'll save it for the show. I'm not sure how you didn't realize when you were playing it first that it's a Gundam game. Just because they use all of the Gundam terminology. They call them mobile suits. They use the Zaku name. I don't even like Gundam like that. And I was like, I was picking up on the Gundam vibes for sure. That being said, so like the chibi art is like almost off-putting for me, but not to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And the story is very campy. It's very, man, I don't know how to describe it.
He means it's trope heavy. It's not campy at all.
It's trope heavy and cheesy. But like the party members join you. I want to join you to unlock my memory. Yeah, come with us. It's too dangerous, but I'll protect you. Shit like that. That doesn't mean it's bad by any stretch. That's not what I'm saying. But yeah, no, it's definitely Gundam. If you like Gundam, please go check it out. It's a JRPG and it's fantastic. I have enjoyed everything I've played so far. I just haven't fully immersed myself into it in the moment. Right now I'm mentally focused on Tactics Ogre Reborn, trying to get through that. Yeah, no, MS Saga is really, really good. I was very surprised that a JRPG existed for it. And here's the thing with me, right? Like, if you want me to try your genre and you want me to like stop being mean about it, hey, Dark Souls, you want me to stop talking shit? Make a JRPG. Give me a turn-based game and let me see how that goes. Might change my mind. That is how you get me to give things a shot. I'm a very, very simple creature, and that'll do it every day of the week. All right, and so my top 5 game remaining. I'm sure this is no shock to anyone who's had more than 3 conversations with me. Suikoden 2. This game is as close to perfect as I've ever seen. I love the Suikoden franchise inside, outside, upside down, and sideways. And Suikoden 2 is, I want to say subjective is what's fair to say because everybody's preferences are the same. But I think Suikoden 2 is like objectively the best game in the franchise. It's the one, and I found out later, very recently actually, that when he was doing the scripts for Suikoden, like the original Suikoden, that he wrote the script for Suikoden 2 and then realized the hardware couldn't do what he wanted it to do yet. So he wrote a prequel for it, and that's how we got Suikoden 1. So Suikoden 2 was always the goal, and that's why it was better. And it blew Suikoden 1 out of the water completely. It was so much better. Suikoden 2 is one of those games that like it gets you immersed to the point where like, and you know exactly where I'm talking about. You're like, oh, I beat the game finally. Oh my god! And then you get to like, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna have this conversation and wrap everything up. And the game was like, actually, you're not. We're not done with you. And I think that was the first time I got swerved into like a whole second half of a game where I was like, I knew I had beaten the boss. Like the big bad was done. I had put the evil guy in the dirt, and the game was like, actually, keep on going. We got more shit for you. And I fell in love immediately. It's this is, I told you I'm not doing like a numbers list on this top 5. This is my favorite game of all time.
We also said we weren't doing things that were parts of a series, but he's not so good at that.
Well, no, I'm going to do the series separately. That's why I told you I told you before we started recording. My top 5 favorite games, 4 of them are parts of my top 5 favorite series, but I can gush on those separately and independently. I like what I like, goddammit.
All right, and now speaking of series, why don't you lead us off with your number 5 favorite series of all time?
Number 5 favorite series of all time. Surprise time, Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. It's so much fun. And it's weird for anybody who knows me for me to pick a fighting game franchise. But Mortal Kombat has been like in my life for years. I was playing Mortal Kombat before I was playing Final Fantasy. And it's I've never not played a Mortal Kombat. There's not one I've missed. And then Mortal Kombat, I think with Armageddon started adding story modes. and that was just feeding into like my burgeoning RPG me. So I was getting my RPG fix while still in a fighting game. I love the cast of characters, even the ones that don't make comebacks. Boracho, I miss you. Please come back. I love Boracho. He's so funny.
I'm just loving that you're like, please come back to me.
Please come back. Please, fat drunken man, come back. Mortal Kombat is fantastic. And then right when we get into Mortal Kombat 10 or X or whatever you want to call it, when they decided to reboot everything, and we've got it might be Mortal Kombat 9 when they relaunched as Mortal Kombat. And they started their new storytelling style. Oh my god, it's so good. And I know it's so good because every other fighting game franchise has been trying to ride on their coattails and failing at it. And it's so well done. I cannot gush enough about Mortal Kombat. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
So, funny bit of trivia actually with Borracho. His name is actually a pun on the Spanish word borracho, which is Spanish for the English word of drunk. And the character artist said it simply felt Asian sounding enough to use for his name.
That's hilarious. He's easily one of my favorite characters. He's so wild.
Him and Kenshi are the only characters that were introduced in Deadly Alliance that had a deception bio card.
Okay, yeah, no, I like Kenshi too.
He's one of my favorite characters.
All the characters are so wild. I like Ermac. I used to like just the ninjas. I only ever played with the ninjas for like years. And then I was fighting Borracho and I slipped on a puke puddle and I was like, I'm gonna need to unpack you. What's happening now? So that was great. But yeah, no, I can't gush enough about Mortal Kombat. It's fantastic.
For me, it would be the Ogre Battle series is my number 5. It's 5 tactical role-playing games that 2 of them are actually real-time strategy games, but they're all under Square Enix after they acquired the video game development brand Quest. And like 2 of the names of the Ogre Battle series, Ogre Battle, The March of the Black Queen, and Let Us Cling Together, and Ogre Battle itself are all references to Queen songs. Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen are on Queen 2, and Let Us Cling Together is the subtitle to Teo Toriate, Let Us Cling Together.
Oh.
I love these games.
So I am playing Reborn, which is the remake of Let Us Cling Together.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a really good game. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it enough, right, that I got to the end of the game, to the final boss, and I realized that I'd for the way I play, I needed the class that I had locked myself out of by choosing a character. So just went back to chapter 1 because that was my most recent save point before I had made that choice. Went back to the second battle and just replayed up to the end of the game again. And wasn't really that upset about it. I thoroughly enjoy the mechanics. I thoroughly enjoy the game itself. The characters are like really well fleshed out on for a tactics RPG that's got so many. And with Final Fantasy Tactics, right, which I love also. A lot of those characters, like Mustadio, once his story is finished, he could kind of forget that he's in the party until you go to do the side stuff to get like Cloud. With Tactics Ogre, at least with Reborn, I could have people come back into the game like when haven't been relevant for chapters, and then they just pop in with some dialogue in the middle of the game. So keeping their cast of characters relevant and vibrant within a story they don't have to be is a very good hallmark. I enjoy it quite a lot.
And all that writing and everything, keep in mind that was from 1993.
Mm-hmm.
The game itself released in 95, but the script was written in 93.
Right.
But for Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics, many critics always said that it's a spiritual successor to Tactics Ogre, so you can see kind of the footprints they were putting down that what I'm saying is Tactics Ogre walks so that Final Fantasy Tactics could run.
Yeah, that's super fair. Like even art wise, like the actual character model art for Tactics, you can tell is very heavily based on Tactics Ogre. Not the art. I wish they had modeled the art off of Tactics Ogre, if I'm being 100% honest. Noses are important, guys. Noses matter so much. Like I can't gush hard enough about why that's important. Fun fact for those listening: in Final Fantasy Tactics, nobody had noses. That was just their art style that they had went with. And then 2 or 3 years ago, Square released a Final Fantasy fighting game called Final Fantasy Dissidia NT. And they decided to include Ramza, who is the main protagonist from Final Fantasy Tactics. This is a super side tangent, but it's my favorite little bit of developer trivia. Because at one point in the development of Ramza in Final Fantasy Dissidia NT, there was a humongous argument amongst the developers about whether he should be given a nose or not, because his character art didn't have one, but everybody else in the game did. And if the art style is so wild that you need to have that argument later, just make noses, is my point.
I'm going to have to hurt you. You ready for this?
Go for it.
Dissidia NT released 7 years ago, Drew.
Was it 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
November 26, 2015.
Sure. Look.
You with the old.
Let's be 100. Let's be 100% honest. We've had a lot of shit.
We're already really old.
We've had a lot of shit going on since 2015.
Yeah.
The world has aged me, and I don't like it. But yeah, no, Tactics Ogre. I haven't played a lot. I played a little bit of the Game Boy Advance one. I didn't get to get as into that as I wanted to. Yeah, I didn't get to get as into that as I would have wanted. But Reborn is great. It's my 4th favorite series of all time, Valkyrie Profile. Love Valkyrie Profile. So the Valkyrie Profile takes an interesting twist on turn-based combat. Especially like specifically the profile entries into the Valkyrie universe. Valkyrie Elysium, I love you. You're not included in this little bit right here. So with Valkyrie Profile, there's 4 battle characters, and each one's tied to one of your main inputs: square, triangle, circle, X. I'm not going to call it cross, Sony, but you can crucify me on a cross before I call it that. Let's be real clear. But and then you press that button to make that corresponding character make their attack. So where it's turn-based in like there's your turn and then the enemy's turn, everybody goes at once on your turn. It's a great delve into Norse mythology, if with maybe a liberty or 35 taken. I could hear him wincing over there. It's a great story. Some of the characters are so memorable. Lazard Veleth, you will be permanently etched upon my brainstem until the day I die. That's one of the most memorable characters in gaming, whether you love him or hate him.
He's been etched upon your soul, Lazard Veleth.
Etched upon my very soul, Lazard Veleth. That's the lightning he hits you with when he does his thing. But yeah, the characters are so wild. And then Valkyrie Profile 2, Somaria, is easily one of the most overlooked games of a generation. It's so well done, and at its core, it follows the same core, premise and values that Valkyrie Profile does. They add a couple things. There's like runes and equipment that are done a whole lot different than in the first Valkyrie Profile. But for me, without spoiling it for anybody who hasn't played it in the 20 years since it's come out, first of all, get on it. Secondly, it is both a prequel and a sequel, and that was nuts to me when they did that. There's like a point in the game where you're in a prequel, and there's a point in the game where you realize that the story is a sequel. And that's the first game I can remember that was both a prequel and a sequel to the initial game in the franchise. And it's such a great plot twist. Somaria does not get nearly the respect that it deserves. And
it's going to be 17 this year.
Yeah, we're getting old, man. And then there's the mobile game. That's not the mobile. Well, the mobile, yes, but also the handheld follow-ups.
Covenant of the Plume.
Yeah, I haven't delved into that one as much as I would have liked to. I am hopeful that the reception for Valkyrie Elysium that I've seen has been pretty good. I'm hopeful it inspires Square to get off its butt and make a sequel to Somaria. Because they have, in their lore, there are 3 Valkyries. We need a game with Hrist. It's just, I need one. I need a game where Hrist is my primary character. So let's get on it. She's fantastic, even if a little bit dark and twisted.
That's just how you like them, though.
Yeah, it is.
And my number 4 series, Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy so much. It has shaped so much of my life, but there are some other series on this list that have just weighed on me in more emotional ways. But as far as raw impact, I've picked up at least every Final Fantasy game at one point in my life and played through and beat it. So here we go. The only thing I haven't played is the final expansion so far to 14. I'll be picking that up once we have expendable income for it, and I'll be right back in.
All right. That's fair. I'm not gonna gush because it's coming up for me.
Mhm.
Number 3 for me, Devil May Cry. I kind of gushed a little bit there on Devil May Cry 5. For me, the whole series is fantastic. Devil May Cry 1 was one of like the formative series for me as like a young adult. And the moment I got hooked on Devil May Cry was Devil May Cry 1, where you get Rebellion and to get slammed through Dante's chest and he just does like a sit up, like an Undertaker sit up through it. I was like, okay, all right, I can mess with this dude. I love Devil May Cry. If they launched Devil May Cry 6 tomorrow, I'd try to find the money to pre-order it. It's a fantastic franchise. In over the course of 6 games, it has yet to truly let me down. Devil May Cry 2 was the worst, and it was still fun. It has yet to truly let me down over the history of a franchise. It would honestly probably be higher on my list if it was a role-playing game. But as an action beat-em-up slasher game, I could not raise anything above Devil May Cry. It's the preeminent series in that genre for me.
It made the genre, so
Yeah,
it should be the king of the genre.
absolutely.
I have to disagree about 2 being the worst. It's my favorite. Of course, 3 comes close. Just the addition of Lady. I love Lady.
Lady is good. My problem with 2 is like the story was fine. The cameras were hot garbage, and in a game like that, camera angle helps tremendously. And there were so many times in Devil May Cry 2 where I was just attacking or shooting at something off screen, and I was like, "Oh, I hope it dies before it gets to me." That's like that big time is my takeaway problem with 2. I love that it added the like let you fly. That was great. Getting all my additional costumes unlocked, and it's just me as Trish with Sparta just flying around the map trying to find stuff. That was awesome. I love Devil May Cry 2. It's just visually not the best. Oh, real quick before I let you get back to yours, also the Devil May Cry alternate universe. That was a work of art. Everybody got
I
so upset.
absolutely love capitalism as the enemy, so I loved it.
Everybody got so upset that it wasn't, white-haired pizza box Dante, that they decided they hated it before they ever gave it a chance. So I will probably never get a continuation. But of all of the Devil May Cry series, that one, if I'm honest, probably has the best voice work in the franchise. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and then we got the Fire Emblem series. I've loved all of these games from Thracia up to Awakening, from the Sacred Stones to I'm real excited about Engage.
I'm excited to get engaged too. I hope she says yes.
Yeah, he's known for really bad jokes too.
All my jokes are great. You just have to have kids to appreciate them. That's all it is.
Look, I can't have kids. I'll become invisible.
You will not become a transparent that way. It's fine.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, great series. It's had crossover series that made it even more fun. We had one that was taken from us that was such a good promise. I'm sad about that, and that was Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei. What eventually got to us for it was Tokyo Mirage Sections Sharp FE, and it was a great game, but it wasn't what we were advertised. There weren't the demons there that I could recruit. There weren't like classic characters.
Who writes
But
these titles, first of all?
the Japanese.
Yeah. Can we get some what does that even mean?
What?
All of that.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
Sure.
Tokyo's place.
Yeah, I know Tokyo's a place. What's a mirage session?
A mirage is when you see things or things are altered.
Oh, you can have a session of that?
Yeah, through music.
Okay. Cross?
The session is music. Cross is what they do whenever it's a crossover of anything.
Oh, what is the FE is supposed to be Fire Emblem?
Yeah, and also Cross wasn't in it. It was Sharp.
Oh, cool. What's a
and
Sharp?
That was because it's a music thing.
Is this a music game?
Yeah.
Gross.
Not a rhythm game, but you play as idols.
Okay.
It's an RPG.
Wait, yeah, no, I knew that. It's got Fire Emblem in it. It's an RPG.
I've been waiting on you to find my copy.
It's somewhere. It's just this. Some of those titles are just bananas. Like, I get why sometimes companies just make a different title for the American release of a game. I get it, because like over here, that's just a conglomeration of words. You don't get that because you speak Japanese, so you understand Japanese. So things the Japanese people say and do and how they structure things make sense to you. But over here, no. But I'm sure it's a great game. No, I do love Fire Emblem. I have played, I think, up to this point. No, I think I've only played I've only missed like one or two, maybe. You know, some of the 3DS.
I'll have to get you the super old ones too.
I have the super old ones. I played those.
I don't mean the Game Boy Advance ones. I mean the super old ones.
So do I.
Oh, okay.
I have played every Fire Emblem up until the second, maybe 3DS one. I played the one with Donald. I have not played the other ones on 3DS. Donald's the guy with the pan on his head for people.
Yeah, Danelle.
Yeah, whatever.
That's Awakening.
Yeah, I played Awakening. The other 3DS titles I haven't played, but I played the Holy Bejesus out of Three Houses. Or as I call it, Fire Emblem Rise of the Triple Polyamory. Yeah, the Fire Emblem was fantastic. I love that game. It's an amazing franchise. I almost never critique it. I like character collectors. Fire Emblem is easily a character collector. I like tactics-based games. Fire Emblem is a tactics-based game. There's very little about Fire Emblem that doesn't appeal to every single thing that I want. So yeah,
once they gave you the option to turn off permadeath.
Oh my god, right? Listen to me, tactics games. Could you just make that a choice for me? Because like sometimes I like to make big risks, but what I don't like is for my characters to die permanently. Now, like at least we'll get into Reborn in detail later, but at least with Reborn, I have like the option to go back and get them again. But like, with other tactics games, you just get like punished for not being able to get back to somebody within 3 turns. And like, holy shit. Except for Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's way worse. If they die, they're dead. Like, just don't get knocked out.
They're gone.
Get your shit together, bud.
Which is super realistic.
Sure. I don't play games for realism, guys. Oh, it's not why I'm here. I want an escape from the places where my mistakes get people killed. But no, I love Fire Emblem to death. It's fantastic. My number 2 franchise of all time is Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, anybody who's paid attention to what it is that I like in a game is going to not be at all surprised by what I have to say here. Final Fantasy got me into RPGs, which is my genre of choice. And it shaped what I find valuable within an RPG. It shaped what I find valuable and pertinent within a game. I've played every Final Fantasy that there is at this point. And that is not a small list. I even played Mystic Quest, unironically. Final Fantasy has such an impact on my life as a gamer in general, that it's hard to not put it as number 1, just because of the impact that it's had over the years. Started with Final Fantasy VII. And really it's kind of impressive because when I got to Final Fantasy VIII, that's when I realized that I could hate something that I love. Every game has not been perfect. Every game has not been great. There are several Final Fantasies that I find most people, in my opinion, people only like because everybody else likes them, and it's cool to like that Final Fantasy. I like 7 not because I think it's a great game or because it's revolutionary or changed the world. Those things are undeniable facts of the genre. I like it because of what it did for me. I'm not saying that it's the greatest Final Fantasy ever. It's definitely my favorite thing. But Final Fantasy is one of those series that I'm so entrenched in, I can build it up and I can tear it down. I can go either way with it. And it will always, as long as I have a heartbeat, Final Fantasy will be a part of me and who I am and what I like and why I like it.
Yeah, that's all good reasons. Next one for me, it was a bit of a split, but I eventually realized that technically by saying the parent series, I could include the other series. So mine is Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, because Persona is literally Shin Megami Tensei Persona.
Okay.
I absolutely adore these games. I especially Persona 1 and 2 were very fun, but for me, the series hit its stride at 3, and I know there are some people out there who, some of them are among our listeners, who really love 1 and 2 and are angry that they always get disrespected, but it wasn't that they weren't fun, it's that 3 and up added in the social links and added in like extra things like spending time with your people outside of the dungeons, and you get rewards in the dungeon for it. Just
That's when they
love the
started.
Persona
They
games.
added the hangout at high school mechanic. That was my man fell in love with hanging out at high school.
Yep, got to make everything weird.
Which part of my sentence is incorrect?
I like going to the mall and stuff, and
That is
hanging out in the
also
C's
hanging out at high
office.
school. That is just another place where high schoolers go to
Okay,
hang
so
out.
I miss high school. Get off.
Oh, gross!
But
I
high
wouldn't
school
know.
was great for me.
Oh, you're the only person in America. It's you and the football guys. That's it. Everybody else hated that place. So you and telling yourself with that, that's fine. I'm not gonna
No,
say
we
no.
good. We good.
Persona, I like Persona a lot. Sometimes my closest thing I had to a drawback with Persona is sometimes Persona is a lot, like a lot. What I'll say, right? Last year, I decided I was going to play through Persona 5 Royal Edition, and you can get everybody's romance levels all the way maxed in one playthrough, and that was my goal, to get everybody maxed, and then right before I make like the romance decision, to make a save file there so I can hit everybody and see what all everybody's was and get all those trophies. I did not finish this run in Persona 5 Royal before I had to take a break. Persona 5 Royal, from that run alone that I did not complete, so I did not finish the story of Persona 5 Royal that time. It is my third most played game of 2022.
Such a
There's
good game.
There's so much in those games. There's just, and my biggest problem, I guess, with Persona 5 is that most of the game is just dialogue cutscenes. You guys have heard me bitch. I love stories. I love my stories. I do. But like at a certain point, I just want to like explore the world or do something. And Persona is great in spite of a mechanic that I greatly dislike in most of my RPGs. I highly dislike RPGs that have me on a timer. This like what's the Zelda? Majora's Mask. Everyone's like, oh, Majora's Mask is so good. I'm on a timer. I hate it. I hate it every second. Every second of that game I despise. I don't like being on a timetable for my games because I'm an explorer. I like to like put the story on hold and go off and just explore this whole section of the world that I have access to. Persona doesn't allow that, but in spite of like a big holdback on like one of my favorite things about the genre of role-playing games, Persona 5 is a great game. I haven't played Persona 4. Persona 3 was fantastic. It had one of the best soundtracks I'd ever heard. Absolutely love the Persona games. Cannot gush highly enough about them. Not as high as this motherfucker, but I gush pretty hard. Personas are great. All right. And then, so my greatest franchise of all time, drum roll please. They're not going to do that because it's a surprise to literally nobody with a pulse. Suikoden is such a good franchise. It's got so much to offer. If you haven't played it, please play it. If you don't emulate, first of all, is it cold under the rock you live under? But that's fine. Konami's finally getting ready to release 1 and 2 on all of your consoles, PC, everything. Please, I'm begging you, go buy this game. If you're listening to this in a time where Suikoden 1 and 2 are out on all the consoles on PC, and you're like a friend of mine and you want to play it, but you don't have the money, message me. I'll find the money. I'll buy it for you. You understand? I need this game to get bought as much as possible. I need everyone to get into it, because if we could show Konami, right, how good Suikodens are, how much people enjoy Suikoden 1 and 2, which are 2 of the best games of the franchise, by the way. So you're jumping right into the good parts. And that'll inspire them to remake
the beginning parts.
Yeah. So it'll inspire them to remake 3 and 4 and 5 and maybe Tactics. And then, if we can get those sales at least respectable. I don't expect, Final Fantasy 16 numbers out of this stuff. But if we can get it to the point where they're like, oh, people actually will buy these, then we can finally get a Suikoden 6, and I can find out about Peshmerga and Uber, and I can go and investigate the Holy Kingdom of Harmonia. I need this, people. You understand me? I write short stories about this game. Like, these games are so good. So like, they are character collectors. They are town builders. Epic war stories, epic political intrigue. And at least one of the games, it's a double game. There's just 2 games. I can't gush enough about the Suikoden franchise. Like, first and foremost, when I was like, there's 108 characters to get, I was mad intimidated, fully. But like, the rewards you get at the end of the game, there's always like a big reward for getting all 108 characters. And the characters are always wild and crazy. And I have named my cat after a Suikoden character, who is not, by the way, an important Suikoden character on any stretch. Like, nobody in the Suikoden franchise talks about Ronnie Bell ever again after Suikoden 1, aside from like a toss away mention in Suikoden 3 that you could miss and never know. But all of the characters are so engaging and so compelling, and they're so fun. Please play Suikoden 1 and 2 when they come out. I'm going to buy it on PC. I'm going to buy it on Steam. I'm going to buy it on PC and Steam. I'm going to buy it on PC through Steam. That's the right answer. I meant to say PS5. I'm going to buy it on PS5. I may buy it on Xbox just to make sure that they got 3 units for me alone. We got to get these numbers pumped up, guys. We need Suikoden to succeed. I'll be such a happy boy. It's such a good franchise. Like, the worst Suikoden game is still a better RPG than most of its competitors. And I say that that's not a subjective statement to me. That's subjective from somebody who enjoys RPGs. The worst Suikoden is still one of the best RPGs available. It's a fantastic franchise. Please, God, play it, and I'll shut up faster.
No, he won't. He'll just then start talking about it with you.
Shut up.
And my number 1 series of all time, Drew, you already see this coming, but is the Legend of Heroes series.
What? No way. I'm shocked.
Or the most accessible ones for people would be Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, FC, SC. That's those are the names of the first 2. Then Trails in the Sky 3rd, and then the Trails of Cold Steel series, and Trails from Azure and Trails into Zero. But more are coming, and there's even the Legend of Nyuta Endless Trails coming out, which is a spin-off series that I never expected to come to America at all. And this series has been going forever. Like, the first game in it was in 1989 by Nihon Falcom, the Dragon Slayer, The Legend of Heroes, which was the 6th game in the Dragon Slayer series, but the first Nihon Falcom game that was in The Legend of Heroes.
All right, yeah. So I like what I've seen for Legend of Heroes. I can't gush nearly as hard as you can. It takes a lot for me to get into like a school RPG. Those take some work for me. And the only ones I've played so far is Cold Steel, which is undoubtedly a school RPG.
Yeah, the first 2 are for sure.
I haven't had a chance to get as invested into the characters as I would want. It's an entertaining game series. I like the mechanic. I can't think of the name of it. With you get like the belt thing, your little packet with the. I'm making it sound way worse than it is, guys. I'm sorry. Where you put your gems to get your powers.
Oh, your Arcus?
That one.
Your Orbments.
Yeah. Those are the words that my brain wasn't coming up with.
It should be easy for you to comprehend that, though, because that's just materia.
Yeah, no, it's not lack of comprehension. It was the ability to explain with the words to people who haven't played.
Yeah.
I enjoy that quite a lot. I like the being able to edit the versatility of my characters. I'm like, oh well, we're going into this Earth dungeon. Let me take all my wind shit. You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah.
That kind of freedom. And not a lot.
Have you gotten high enough to get an S-Craft yet?
I don't think so. Where I am at, the dude who is from the tribal hut in the nomadic wilderness tribe.
Yes.
I'm in his town.
S-Crafts are, it's where you can hold triangle and hit like left or right on the D-pad and activate their super moves?
Oh, maybe. I've got that on Trails from Zero, but I don't think I've got that in Cold Steel yet. If I have, I don't remember. It's to the point when I go back to Cold Steel, I'm gonna have to start over anyway.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna start a whole new playthrough for the Sky games, and then when I beat them, get into the Cold Steel ones, and by then it might be December, so we'll have the first of the Trails in the Reverie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play. Is that the one that wraps up the thing?
Yeah.
I'm mad. I got like 9 games I got to play before I can like really get into that one. It's fucking wild. But no, I'm excited for it. I'm always down to have more games to play for sure. So one more thing we're going to touch on before we go into our big controversial topic. What is a hidden gem that you played that you don't think enough people are aware of? Just something, from any system.
You didn't do your number one.
I did do my number one. Speaking of,
I
went first this time, remember?
Yeah,
I started. So, what is your hidden gem that always leaps out for you that most people have either never heard of or never played that we have not already talked about today?
Probably Skies of Arcadia.
Okay, I don't think I've played that.
It's so good. It's a game that follows the 17-year-old air pirate whose name is Vice, and he's looking for the moon crystals in order to stop the Empire. It was a 2000 RPG that was for the Dreamcast, but you know my love of Skyfire. It's like it had me there.
Yeah, I'm aware. For those who don't know, we kickstarted the 5e Sky Pirate book?
Sky Raiders of Aberaxia.
Yeah, see how he knew the exact name immediately? He's a big Sky Pirate guy. I enjoy Sky. My favorite Final Fantasy character of all time is the Sky Pirate. Balthier, I love you. Gideon Emery, you're my hero. Gideon Emery is the guy who plays Balthier in Final Fantasy 12, and he's my hero to the point where I was playing Tactics Ogre Reborn, and he is in it as one of the characters. And I just text Robin and just Gideon in all caps. I was very excited. Sky Pirates are great. But yeah, I have not played Skies of Arcadia. I've heard of it though, so I have to get into it at some point.
Not you. What's one for you?
So my hidden gem is on PS2. Radiata Stories. I absolutely love Radiata Stories. I wish it would have been a franchise. This is, it's got all the political intrigue and stuff that you want, but it's also more of like a fun and campy game. Follows the adventures of I think Jack is like 15 or 16, and he's off on a quest to go be a knight like his dad. And of course, it's kind of like a more comedic story than most RPGs. So of course, you fail your test, getting beat by a 15-year-old girl, who you then get put into the knights with because of how famous your dad was. So now you got to like live up to your dad's namesake. But it's also a character collector. I think there's like 68, 69, some big huge
76.
Is there 176? It's a lot. It's a bunch.
And you can kick everything.
Yeah. So you can fight everybody. So it's got a kick button on it, right? So you just walk up and you kick someone, and they're like, "Hey, stop that shit!" And you kick them again, and you can fight them.
You can also kick objects.
You can kick objects to get treasures. It's a whole lot of fun. Jack is a wild character. It's got one of my very favorite mechanics available in RPGs that is so wildly and drastically underutilized. In Radiata Stories, your armor changes. Like your visual, on-field, and in-cutscene character changes to match what your armor is. And that's so underdone in JRPGs as a whole. And in Radiata Stories, it's so much fun.
It did have one sequel.
Did it?
Radiant Historia.
That they're not related. I played Radiant. I played Radiant Historia.
They say it's a spiritual sequel. Okay.
Yeah,
Atlas said it's a spiritual sequel. I'm like,
they don't even play the
looking,
same. Like I played the shit out of Radiant Historia. They don't play the same at all. If you like, I like character Easter eggs. So Lenneth Valkyrie is a recruitable character in the post game of Radiata Stories. And I think my favorite bit, right? So if you watch anybody play Valkyrie Profile 1, like anybody who plays it, and I'm going to say plays competitively, anybody who thinks that they play Valkyrie Profile competitively, their method of transitioning through the field is almost constantly to slide. And when you recruit
runners, okay,
yeah, when you recruit Valkyrie in Radiata Stories, she doesn't ever walk. She only slides across the floor, and it's fucking hilarious. It's so funny. But that's also like one of the ones that I don't think we'll ever see. Maybe we'll see a re-release on at some point because it's a Square Enix title. But it went so far under everybody's radar. But if you haven't played Radiata Stories, definitely go look. It's such a good game. It's got a split halfway through the story where you're like, we're going to have a race war. You got to pick a team. And you got to pick humans or monsters. Monsters is general, like more fake creatures and stuff like that. And so the Radiata Stories requires at least 2 playthroughs on a good day to get the full effect and the full ending and what you want to see. And I love games.
New Game Plus name?
Huh?
To get the New Game Plus and keep all your stuff, you had to choose the option strong from the start.
Yep. Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's such a good game. Such a good game. And so few people have heard of it. I asked for it for Christmas one year, right? And Miranda went to go buy it for me. And this was years ago. And fucking bless her soul. She's gone now. But she was the funniest. She couldn't remember what game I had asked for. And she ended up telling the guy at GameStop that I wanted Radiator Sonata.
Did you get Eternal Sonata?
No, thank fuck that guy was like, oh, Radiata Stories. Okay. That's what he wants.
Man, I just love the number of Star Ocean cameos that were in it. Well, not cameos, Easter eggs. Like Gans where when you go into the Bandit Guild thing, Gans wears Claude Kenny's outfit.
Yeah.
The Fate armor changes your appearance to Fate Line God.
Yeah, like Radiata Stories, if you like Square Enix RPGs,
if you like Tri-Ace.
It is bursting to the seams. Well, the Valkyrie profile is Tri-Ace.
That's Tri-Ace.
Yeah, it is bursting to the seams with Easter eggs. It's go play it. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, anything where you change the armor, like when you change the armor, it changes your appearance, especially in like older games. You got my interest. I'm here. It's one of the biggest drawbacks of JRPGs for me. And I get it. You spend all this time designing this character and how they look and why they look cool in this and all this other shit. And that's great. But like, do you know much more I would love Final Fantasy VII if changing Cloud's armor changed Cloud's armor?
Cloud's armor is just a bracelet.
Sure. But if the bracelet even changed, like if whatever their piece of armor was in that game changed along with whatever I changed their armor to, I'd be over the fucking moon about it. Like if I can equip an accessory and then I see it on the character, I love your game. I love your game. I love it. I don't care how bad the story is. I love it. I think that's like a visual mechanic that just goes so under the radar. Because like some of these armors have like dope ass names, and then you put it on and nothing. And it just feels like a waste. And I know I'm being picky because like some games, I'm looking at you, Legendary Dragoon. I know that you're also not as hidden, but a gem that I could have named. That don't even change weapons when you change equipment, and that is a travesty. Because Legendary Dragoon, I believe, came out after Final Fantasy VII, and we are very aware that technology to change weapons visually was there. Like it's not even that big of a struggle. But yeah, anytime where the weapons or armor change based on the equipment, I absolutely adore that mechanic. It doesn't happen nearly enough. Guys, those of you who grew up on Skyrim, you're so fucking spoiled. Oh, you're so spoiled. I wish I had grown up on fucking something like that.
No, you don't. We grew up with great games.
I did grow up with great games, but I wish that, the things that I wish for my old games are things that like people who play Skyrim and Dark Souls and shit like that, just have always had. Like when I put on new armor, I don't look any different. That's foreign to some people. Some people have only been in like, Bethesda and onward is gaming. There are people listening to this podcast right now who don't remember 9/11. They remember that as a history fact that they were told of in school.
You just broke my hip.
We're fucking old, man. I was in high school when that happened, and there are 24-year-olds right now. No, I'm doing math wrong. I know I'm doing math wrong. Like 21-year-olds who were not alive when that happened. People who were not alive when 9/11 happened can go and buy alcohol right now.
Not all of them, though.
Huh?
I said not all of them, though.
Not all of them, but yeah. So when I say like I wish the games I had grown up with had XYZ, there's shit that they take for granted. Like I wish that the armor mechanics in like the aesthetic armor mechanics in Skyrim games had existed in every RPG I ever played. I'd be a much happier person.
Agreed.
Okay, so our next topic, this game comes out next month, and gaming as a whole is fairly firmly divided. So we're going to talk about the whys and the hows and the maybes of Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. Man, I remember a time when this would not have been a controversial topic at all. Oh, I miss the simpler days.
While it is a Harry Potter game, while it is in that universe, it's not called Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. It's just Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay. Well, is it a game that takes place within the universe of Harry Potter that was made famous by the movies and franchise Harry Potter?
Unfortunately.
All righty. So I am very bad at often understanding why or explaining why things are a controversy. So I'm going to let you kind of extrapolate on why this game, regardless of its merits, shouldn't be played, what people's problems with it is, and then we'll discuss from there.
Right, separating out the problems that people have with the creator of the Harry Potter series and her rampant transphobia, where she finally just doubled down and admitted she's a TERF recently, which was a wild thing I never expected her to do because she had been denying it, but she posted Merry TERFmas a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, online media outlets reporting on the content just were saying things about how the game itself is going to have the story be the Goblin Rebellion era, with the game storyline focusing on the player suppressing the Goblin Rebellion. And this is from the first gameplay trailer. The Wizarding World lore surrounding by goblins is often accused of being based on known anti-Semitic tropes, the whole appearance and the money grubbing thing. Yeah, that's the controversy part, is the fact that criticism spurred from the beliefs that, the game's core message is the minority goblin group should be considered the enemy for wanting to fight for equal rights.
So, I guess my question, right, is like, if the story is told in a way where they're being objectively evil about, like the characters of the goblins are being objectively evil and how they go about what they're wanting to do, is it still a problem to stop that behavior? If they're like, we want equal rights, so we're going to blow up this child's school to get your attention, right? I think we could agree that that's like objectively evil, yes?
Yeah, but that's not a thing that was shown, and it's not a thing that's going to happen, basically.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know what's going to happen because I haven't played the game, because we don't have reviewer access. I don't know that. I don't know that, I don't know a way aside from making the goblins that you're interacting with, at least, objectively evil, how to tell that story. Because the problem is you need to be the good guy. Like, the player character needs to be the hero of the story. That's why they're the player character. Why they would focus on putting down a goblin rebellion without expressly making the goblins the villains, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it's much easier, and maybe that's the point. Maybe they want to tell like a harder story or a grittier story. I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as we're the racists. I don't think that's going to be it. That seems too dumb. My biggest problem, right, with all this is that, we're going based on what 10 or 15 media outlets are saying about a game without ever seeing the content for ourselves. Like,
wait, it was in the trailer.
Have you played it? Like, that's my point, right? Because the trailers often don't give the whole plot away. So, I mean, you can run based on a trailer. To me, you can judge, the visuals of a game based on the trailer. You can judge what the gameplay is going to feel like based on a trailer. It's much harder for me to judge the entire story and the plot of a game based on a couple minutes in the trailer.
I mean, when the creators say that it's going to be based in the Goblin Rebellion era and the storyline is going to focus on the player suppressing a Goblin Rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's not to understand there?
Well, you don't I don't necessarily know what this sect of goblins is rebelling. I don't know that the current story is about their freedom. That they're fighting for rights. They could be fighting for something else. All we know is there's a goblin rebellion, and that's what the game is focusing on. I don't know what the rebellion's about. I can assume what the rebellion is about, just like everybody else is doing. Or
We
I
all
can play
know
the
what it's
game
about.
we know what the
it's been
main
written.
canon goblin rebellion is about.
Yeah,
Sure.
which
We don't know
this
what
is.
We don't know what this precise story is. Did they say that this story is the story of the Goblin Rebellion, or the story takes place during the era of the Goblin Rebellion?
With you suppressing the rebellion, but that's not even the only thing in it. Like, there are some things that seem like they'll be fun, and like, I won't get it unless I get it like secondhand from someone. But like, you'll be able to customize things. You'll be able to choose your appearance, house, and gender. You can customize your voice, body type, and add on accessories. Then you do challenges that'll help you level up. There will be combat, quests, exploration, field guides, and the room of requirement. And you'll be able to customize your room of requirement.
I mean, I'm going to get it. So my $60 is not going to make a difference one way or another. They're not going to care if I boycott the product. So it's my I want a future in reviewing games. So I need to play games. I need to be able to talk about the games and explain, the ins and the outs. And, if I agree with the story, fine. If I don't agree with the story, also fine. I need to play it to know that. I personally can't make a judgment call based on this is kind of the premise about whether it's going to be morally problematic for me or not. If it is morally problematic for me, I think we all know that I will be the first person at the top of the mountain talking about what a piece of garbage the game is.
I don't think anything is morally a problem for you in video games.
Sure it is. Nothing jumps out at me, but also at large, I like to fucking consume my meal. Like, Luca Blight is morally a problem for me, just as a
Luca's
whole.
also the bad guy. So
Yeah, but I wouldn't have that frame of reference if I hadn't played that game. I wouldn't know. This is like it's really easy. It's so much easier to make a judgment call based on a tiny piece of information than it is to like, well, maybe this is going to be exactly as bad as I think it is. Let me get in here and find out. And like my Facebook is full of people that are like, if you play this game, you don't like trans people. It's quantifiably not true. Quantifiably not true. These are a lot of these are the same people who they're upset that J.K. Rowling, who is objectively a piece of shit, is going to get royalties off of this game, and I hate that. I hate that a lot. I don't want her to get a dime of my money ever. However, the way I look at it, she's not. My dime is going to pay for the guy who, coded the game. He's got to make money. That's where my money is going. It's not going to J.K. Rowling. I could spend money without and the people who are also big proponents of like when their artist is a problem, they're like, we got to separate the art from the artist. Sure. If you want to separate the art from the artist, I'm not going to make a judgment call there. There's only one artist whose art I fully don't consume ever. And that's because that person is such a shitty person that I don't consume their art. But by and large, if you can separate the art from the artist, cool. I can too. And if they're going to vilify me for playing a video game, that's fine. But it's a video game. I hate Warner Brothers. I hate J.K. Rowling. That doesn't mean like if it's a good game that I'm going to give it a bad review or I'm going to say bad shit about it because it's I don't know if it's a bad game based purely on the story. I have to see the story play out before I can decide that suppressing the Goblin Rebellion is a problem. I don't have enough information about the Goblin Rebellion to decide that stopping it is objectively a problem or stopping a certain section of it is objectively a problem. Like you can have a good cause and go about it in a really fucking terrible way. And if my character in this game is out to stop a very terrible thing that is being done in the name of a good cause, then that's okay. I'll hear that story out. Now, if I get to the end of this and I'm like, oh no, the main character is just a super duper goblin racist, that he's a piece of shit, believe me, I'll be the first one to tell you guys.
And you do you, honey boo boo.
I just don't understand the need to make a snap decision based on a thing that's not even out yet. It doesn't make sense. Like, if the story is the holdup, wait to see what the story is. Everybody on my Facebook is telling me what a piece of shit I am for considering playing a game that's not even out yet. They have no idea. None of the people that are telling me it's going to be a piece of shit story have played the game or seen the story or gone through the entire thing to know that it's a piece of shit. They've made a snap decision and are emotionally deciding before this thing is released whether it's going to be good or not, and that's just not how products work.
It's how capitalism works, though.
Okay. Do you think that calling for a boycott on this is going to work? Is going to have an impact?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Like, the only thing people who are deciding to make this a political statement, they're just depriving themselves of an experience. That's all it is. It's not going to have any financial impact on Warner Brothers. It's not going to have any financial impact on J.K. Rowling. It's not going to have any.
I love how you've decided it's going to be good, so they're depriving themselves of this experience.
I have not decided it's going to be good. They've deprived themselves of an experience, be that good or bad. I didn't say it was a good experience. I didn't say it was a bad experience. It was an experience. They've chosen ahead of time to deprive themselves of playing a game, which is, as always, an experience. Now, whether that's going to be good or bad, cool. I haven't decided it's going to be good or not. I boycotted the last Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts movie because of decisions made at Warner Brothers. But I'm going to play the game to find out, to see if it's a good game or not. If it's not, I'll be the loudest one about it. If it is, fantastic.
And we're watching the latest Fantastic Beasts movie just so you don't become a hypocrite.
Oh, I mean, I'm not a hypocrite. How am I a hypocrite?
If you're willing to give one thing a chance, despite all the horrible things that people are telling you about it, but you're not willing to give another one because of a decision that was made.
Okay, I don't see. I mean, the decision that was made is very vocal and upfront. The story is not. The story of the game is not upfront and on display. The decision made by Warner Brothers is very upfront and on display, and that's the thing that I have a problem with. I don't know if I mean, it doesn't matter to me that I'm not going to enjoy the story because of the decision that was made. I can know that in advance right now. Because, like, one of the big things that I don't like is when they change a character midway through a series, and swapping the actor for what's his fucking name?
Mads Mikkelsen. And why are you avoiding saying Johnny Depp?
No, I'm trying to think of the character's name.
Oh, Grindelwald.
Yeah, swapping the actor for Grindelwald from Johnny Depp to Mads Mikkelsen is going. I'm not going to be able to enjoy the story point blank because I'm going to see the visual difference. Whether I like politically agree with the Johnny Depp situation or not, which I absolutely do.
To clarify, he's saying
I'm on
Johnny Depp's side.
Team Johnny. I absolutely agree with the ruling towards Johnny Depp. I don't agree at all with Warner Brothers' decision to replace Johnny Depp in this movie. That is the conversation. Whether I had an emotional investment in Johnny Depp portraying that role or not, changing the character would disengage me from being able to watch the movie. So I'm not going to enjoy that either way, whether I'm emotionally tied to it or not. I just so happen to be emotionally tied to that decision. But I would dislike the movie just as much if they hadn't made any announcements and I went and watched it and it was a new actor. And that exact thing very much almost ruined Avengers for me. It took me a long time to get on board with Mark Ruffalo instead of Edward Norton.
We'll talk about after this.
Talk about what? I'm gonna see how this Harry Potter thing goes. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm gonna see how Hogwarts Legacy goes. It's just a game. If everybody wants to get bent out of shape over it, then that is certainly a choice that they can choose to make. But playing a game doesn't invalidate my support for segments of people. And I am incredibly irritated at the people who continue to insist that that's what that means.
Well, I'm kind of with them, but I understand where you're coming. But when someone says, please don't support this thing that's supporting people who are attacking me.
Okay.
That's what they mean when they say that. But of course, they're being overly reactive.
Yeah, because there's things that I feel attacked by all the time that just get wide support from people that I love, and I don't villainize my friends for liking the things that they like. That would be like if I got on Facebook and I was like, if you love me, don't listen to Cardi B. If you listen to Cardi B, you don't love me. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You can like
I'm
what you
gonna
like.
accidentally not love you because I'm never aware when she's on.
Yeah, that's how that shit is the problem. Like saying something like that, like don't consume Harry Potter media or you're a transphobe. Like how do you know how impossible it is to just go through life without accidentally consuming some Harry Potter stuff? It's so prolific. It's everywhere. We had like a 20-year run before she outed herself with the beliefs that she has. And you just want me to ignore 20 years of media, like a major formative part of what was going on when I was a teenager? Cool. I understand where you're coming from. But like, also like it's incredibly selfish to ask somebody to sacrifice a thing that's a major part of their past because you don't like the creator.
Is Harry Potter really a major part of your past?
Yeah.
Wild.
That was one of the major book series I read when I was a kid.
Wild.
Why is that
I read
wild?
them all, but because it just is. It's not. It doesn't fit with most of the rest of your character. That's why I was like, wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is a part of me that I don't vocally put everywhere. But that's like you can ask my ex. I can have like a hours long intellectual conversation about the ins and the outs and details and lore of Harry Potter because I consumed so much of that media over the years. Is my house important to my day-to-day life? No, I'm an adult. I don't need to be like hashtag Slytherin pride. That's not a thing for me. But those books were a humongous part of my growing up. I had an incredibly traumatic and violent childhood. And reading the Harry Potter books was an outlet to like get my brain out of what was happening. So for some of my friends to get on Facebook and tell me that if I consume this media that I've been consuming for almost 30 years at this point, that I don't love them when I'm a piece of shit, that makes them kind of a piece of shit.
There hasn't been much new to the media in the last 11 years.
Sure. And the last, not the last movie I haven't touched, the one before that just had a really lackluster ending for me, so I wasn't super interested in this new one anyway. And like, don't get me wrong, like J.K. Rowling is the only problem with Harry Potter is my issue, right? Like it's her, she's the problem, and I get
her. Robbie
Coltrane, he is dead as shit.
Yep.
So he is no longer a problem. That problem has solved itself. I love Hagrid. Am I not supposed to love Hagrid because Robbie Coltrane was a piece of shit?
That's fine.
Is it? Because that's the same. That's my point, though, right? Like, I can't love Harry Potter anymore because J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. Why should I be able to love Hagrid because Robbie Coltrane was a piece of shit? Like, that's the logic, right? Where like, if I support this thing, I'm supporting people who hate people that I love. That's not how it is.
Those are two different streams of logic. One is a man who portrayed him. So an actor who, when he took off his nice guy face, you can love the nice guy face. When he took it off, we learned he was a piece of shit. The other one is the creator of the universe. Also, funny story, she all but basically ripped off an earlier Neil Gaiman series.
Was that Neil Gaiman? Hang on.
Yeah.
We may be thinking of different things. Give me a second. Because there's another Harry Potter franchise that's older than the current one.
Yeah, it was called Books of Magic.
No. The one I'm thinking of was called Harry Potter. Where are you? Yeah, it's another franchise. I'll have to find it.
There was a character in an older franchise that was called Harry Potter, but there wasn't an actual Harry Potter series before Harry Potter.
Where was a Harry Potter book that came out in like the 80s? It was like something Harry Potter. Trying to find it because it was about a wizard child named Harry Potter. It was like everything else was different, but it was a boy wizard named Harry Potter, and it came out in the 80s. Damn, it's escaping me at the moment. I'll find it.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman's character was Tim Hunter, and that was from the 90s, and so many of the things that happen are identical to things that are described in the Tim Hunter books.
Like, I'm not saying that like did J.K. Rowling is like a cheat. Like I wish there was anything I could do to not give her a single dime of my money. Like, I think she's an unqualified piece of shit. Here it is. It is from the book and the movie Troll that came out in 1986.
Yeah, Troll. As I was saying, it wasn't the name of the book wasn't Harry Potter.
Yeah, the name of the character was Harry Potter.
Yeah. The Troll's actually really good horror movie. Also, there's a new movie called Troll that came out just last year, and I'm not sure if it's a reboot or just happens to have the name.
Oh, it would almost have to happen to have the name. Can you imagine trying to put out a movie with a protagonist called Harry Potter in 2022?
I imagine they would change that.
Yeah, they would get instantly sued. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I want to play it because I'm trying to get a career in gaming. And if people can't count on me to play games, what's the point of trying to pursue this career? You know what I mean? So, and if I play it for 10 hours and it's in this and it's objectively bad, I'll be the first one to say it. And I'll shut it down and we'll never finish it. But I can't be told on one hand to separate the art from the artist, but on the other hand to not consume art because of the artist. All right, we got to pick a team. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Level Grinding and Nexus Gaming Alliance podcast. I'm Drew. This was Robin. We thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the podcast, by all means, please go to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to it. If you can leave a review for us. Give us 5 stars. We absolutely appreciate that. It means so much to us on the business level. It gets us in front of more people. The more people we get in front of, the easier it's going to be to make sure that we give you a good quality show. If you want to support us beyond just that, you can find us at patreon.com/levelgrindingpodcast. We're going to have a system of tiers set up there. Everything from $1 on up, every single penny that you guys can send us, we absolutely appreciate. And if you don't want to send us a dime, that's absolutely fine. We'll still make the show for you. So that being said, we will see you guys next week. Be sure to take your potions and keep on grinding.